All right, so it's been almost exactly 23 minutes and our cupcakes are finished. So this is how they look. One, I did overfill just a little bit, but no big deal. Got some really good looking ones here, so now it's time to begin decorating. All right, so for the first step, we want to take either like a knife, or I've got this little kind of fancy spatula, cake spatula. So we're just gonna do a very thin layer of icing on top of our cupcake first. So again, this is just a very thin, almost crumb layer on top, because what we want to do is we want to have something that will bind our cookie crumbs to the cupcake. So at this point, it does not have to be a lot, so just a nice thin layer. All right, then we're gonna take our vanilla wafers and we're gonna put a couple of them. I chose to use a Ziploc bag because we're gonna crush these up. You could crush them up in a bowl if you wanted to, but I feel like it's less messy in a Ziploc bag. So this is gonna kind of act as the dirt that you would find on the ground around the campfire, or sand. So I wanted to make sure that these were crunched up as finely as possible. There's a few big pieces on there that I'll try and avoid, but pretty finely crushed. So when you're finished, you can sprinkle the crumbs right on top, or you can dip it in, but it should look something about like this. And I knocked off some of the larger pieces to make it look a little bit more fine as possible, but if there's some still on there, that's not really a big deal because it'll mostly be covered by the icing that is going to represent our flames. All right, so I am really just doing a couple cupcakes, so I am splitting up some of my icing into two different bowls pretty evenly. So I've got half here and half here, and I'm gonna make one of them orange and one of them yellow to represent the fire flames. So I've got my yellow food coloring here, and I'm gonna put a couple drops in my icing here. And then I've got orange, which is a gel food coloring over here. And so now I'm going to stir them together and mix all the food coloring into each of the icings. All right, so those are mixed in. So I have two nice colors now. I've got my yellow and my orange. I usually think it's a little bit easier to pipe icing onto the cupcake, and you don't have to have any kind of like fancy piping bags. What you can just use a plastic bag. So I'm gonna put some of the orange and yellow icing into this Ziploc bag, and then we're gonna cut off the tip here, and we're gonna use that as a makeshift piping bag to pipe our flames onto our cupcake. So I usually turn my Ziploc bag inside out, and then I will put the icing directly onto the bag and then flip it right side out. Some people use cups to make it a little bit easier. This is just what works for me, so whatever your comfortability level is, whatever works for you. All right, so I've got my yellow icing and my orange icing side by side, and now I'm going to turn the plastic bag right side out. Okay, so this is what this looks like now, and I am going to push the icing to the corner of our bag. So it's gonna look something like this, and hopefully it's, somewhat side by side. It doesn't have to be perfect because it is gonna be the flames. So I've got it right here. It does kind of look similar to a piping bag, and then I'm just gonna cut a small bit of the tip off so we can get that icing to come out. All right, so we have just a very small little bit right there at the end, so the icing will come out. It's a little bit hard to see on my camera, so now we can start icing. So I like to start from the outside and just work my way in. I probably could have made this hole just a little bit bigger, but you can kind of see the yellow here from the flames, and I'm just gonna kind of go back through to try and get a little bit more of that yellow. This doesn't have to be perfect at all because we're essentially just going to kind of cover it up with pretzels. But you can kind of see that the orange and yellow is in here. All right, so next we are going to take our pretzel rods and we are going to build our fire structure on top of our cupcake. I know this is the exact opposite way of how you're supposed to do a campfire. You want to have your structure first, but it's not real. So these pretzels are just a little bit longer than I wanted them to be, so I'm gonna probably break these in half to make them fit a little bit better, because I want them to be more about this size, and this brand that I got is very long. Okay, so I went ahead and I just snapped that in half. You can see it's a little more than halfway broken, and then I just put the pretzel right on the side, stuck it into the icing so it would stand up, and then I'm going to do a couple more to make our triangle. All right, so now we have our fire structure. You can see our little bit of dirt there on the ground, our yellow and orange flames, and then our structure for our fire. And what campfire would be complete without s'mores? So that is going to be our next step. All right, so if you can grab your toothpicks and your mini marshmallows, we are going to make marshmallow skewers for our fire. All right, so we're just going to take our mini marshmallows and put them right on our toothpicks, just like at a campfire. All right, so now we have our marshmallow skewers to put with our campfire, so we're going to stick our toothpicks right into our cupcake. I decided it would look better to have the marshmallows right next to the fire, so I put my marshmallows right onto the flames. So there you go. Our Great Girl Scout Bake Off Campfire Cupcake. There you go. Hope you guys had fun. So I hope you guys liked the video and are going to be able to make your own Girl Scout Campfire Cupcakes. Don't forget to share your pictures with us in the comment section or email them to info@gswestok.org. Thanks, guys.